All right, hey everybody, Teching 101 back again alongside my faithful companion Barry the Brick. He's a vampire, he's back again, and for a limited time only, we have these Vampire Barry plushies on sale now until November 7th. If you would like to grab one, go check out the link below to Teespring. There's also a link up here as well. There's going to be links around, I'm going to be pushing the Vampire Brick for the next 2 weeks, so just prepare yourself for that. But it's limited time only, so there it is. Now, what will happen when Barry builds up his army of various holiday-themed bricks? I don't really know. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, I suppose. But anyway, today's video is really exciting because it is a sequel to the tree video. Ah, yes. Remember the tree video? Next to the ice cream video and the bakery video, the tree video, it's really high up there, man. It was a lot of fun. And it's great because people think I was crazy for talking about trees in the One Piece world. Yeah, well, go read the last chapter and say if you think I'm crazy. Ha! 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 I mean, hey, man, you got to pay attention to this kind of stuff. Oda even laid out a bunch of different trees in the One Piece world. You think that was just for fun? You think it was just like, oh, there's the treasure tree Adam, the mother tree Eve, the whale tree on Zoe? You got to pay attention to the trees. The trees hold the answer to the One Piece. I've been saying this. Anyway, last chapter, chapter 1130. We got a big tree. We got the biggest tree. Just like back up for a minute here, okay? Do you guys know what this is? Do you know what this is right here? This is another plushie. This is one that Artur actually sold. But anyway, so this is the world. What a marvelous place. Seek freedom, and it will lie stretched out before your eyes. If the endless dream guides your restless spirit, seize it! Raise your flag and stand tall! Yeah, 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 yeah! Think back to the time when my search first began. I left those on the shores of sand. I don't remember all of the lyrics. But as a burning passion guiding me, someday, somewhere, I'll finally see the light I've been searched for everywhere. That's Akari E, third One Piece opening. Forgot some of the lyrics. That's the English version. Back when they had the English versions of all the openings. But anyway. Okay, so that's the world, and this is a tree. And if you put them together, you get the world tree. This is a marvelous interpretation of Yggdrasil. Okay, so in the last chapter, in this epic full-page spread at the end, we got Loki, which, okay, I mean, like, Loki, the accursed prince of the giants, killed his father, has one of the, most powerful devil fruits in the entire story. Whatever. I was more excited about the tree, okay? So, this is what it looks like. We see part of it back during Big Mom's backstory, and it's the cool thing about that is when you look at the backstory image of ELBAPH, you could see the tree, but you can also see these other lines next to it. People used to think those were other trees. That was like more trees in the background, like there were multiple Yggdrasils, which... okay, I guess we know there's at least two. There's this one, the actual one, and then there's the one in Rhodes' diorama that's like the fake Yggdrasil, so I guess there's at least two. But anyway, no, those were not other trees. Those were most likely the waterfalls, because we see coming out of Yggdrasil, there's like a bunch of waterfalls, like off to the top and the side, and they just pull over the side of the island, so that's what most likely they were. I would imagine because this tree is just so freaking big, whenever it rains, there's probably like lakes and ponds and rivers and everything that exist within the canopy of this tree, like in the actual wood of the trunk of the tree itself, and then those, rivers pull out and they just, fall off of the tree off to the side, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, we've seen some shots of it before. We could tell that the trunk was pretty damn thick for this tree. But now we see it in full scale, and in order for us to get the full scale of Yggdrasil, Oda had to zoom out like big time, okay? So that's one thing I want to bring up. At the end of that chapter, when we see Yggdrasil, understand that this is way out in the ocean that we are seeing this island, because that's the only way you could see it in full scale. Like, now I only got my crappy version here, but this little box thing right here, this is the castle that was the detention center, the giant prison that Road and I guess the new giant pirates live in. Maybe that's like their home base or whatever, and that's where the diorama was, like the little Lego city. This is a giant castle. This little square right here. Not just a normal castle. A normal castle would be big enough, but this is a castle intended intended to be a prison facility for giants, who on average are about 10 times taller than a human being. A human being is like a doll or an action figure in a giant's hand, just a normal giant. We're not even talking about the bigger giants or like the ancient giants, just normal giants. This is a castle meant for giants, and it's that small on this scale. Okay, so that just gives you an idea. Now, it's crazy because I don't think, even if this arc goes on for as long as Wano, I doubt we're going to get to see every little aspect of this place, and that sucks because I really just want to explore. Like, I want this to be a video game where I can just run around and explore ELBAPH. That should be the next One Piece video game. One Piece ELBAPH. That's it. Just have it be that and have us run around the world tree. I'd be happy with that. Okay, so anyway, we got a couple of things to note here. So point number one, notice the 3 different tiers we kind of have on the tree, okay? So we have the bottom part of it there. That's where Loki is imprisoned down here. These are all mountains. Like, once again, mountains on a giant island, big snow blizzard-filled mountain ranges that are down here. So those are like the size of the Rocky Mountains already. Like, so that's just that scale. Then we have the giant tree trunk that goes up. Then we have this first layer of a canopy. Now, there might be more stuff like in the actual tree itself. Like, once you get up to the point where you're in the leaves and going around all the branches and stuff, there could be entire cities and towns. And we've already established there's definitely bodies of water in here. You know what I mean? So it's not just like, oh, the bottom and then this part up here where we see this big fortress, which is probably like the royal capital, I'm assuming, is where, like, you know, the king used to live before he died and stuff, or the current ruler, whoever that is living there, right? I'm assuming that's where that is. But there's probably more stuff like in the actual canopy. We also know there's towns and villages down here because that's where Shanks docked his ship, you know, for the pub. And then there was also Big Mom's flashback where she goes into the village, in the lamb's house and everything. That was also probably most likely down here, I would assume, right? So this is 1, and then up here is 2, and then we get to the fortress level here. We have a bunch of cannons poking out on the side to defend the island. It is the warland, after all. Then we have the giant fortress that looks to be really built into the side of, like, a mountain itself, or probably, like, the actual wood of the tree was carved out to make this thing. It looks pretty imposing. We have a rainbow over here, which might be a reference to the Bifrost, you know, in Norse mythology. Now, the Bifrost is like a bridge that you can, like, it's a rainbow bridge that you can, like, walk on. That might be what it is here, or it might just be a cool-looking rainbow, and maybe Oda just put it there just for reference. Who knows? But anyway, there's that. And then also on this stratum, there is a giant sword. A sword that is so giant, it's like a claymore, like a great sword that stretches all the way down through this entire canopy, and it seems to have lodged itself in the base of the island, okay? So let's talk about that giant sword before I forget, all right? So we all know about the giant katana that was sitting in Kaido's front yard, you know, right here when the Straw Hats and the Samurai Alliance were sailing into Onigashima for the raid. We see this giant katana, and everybody was losing it over this giant katana, right? They were just like, this is a katana that, you know, like Kaido's gonna pick it up at some point. Or he's like giant Kaido, he's gonna turn into a dragon, he's gonna pick up the sword and use it or some shit, right? So the sword didn't really do much, and I question, actually, whether or not that sword is a like an actual sword, or it really is just a lawn decoration. Imagine it is like in a video game and Kaido just completed it and he got so much money, and now he's just, all the things that Kaido could spend money on at this point are just like little doodahs to spruce up his castle and his camp. He's like, oh man, if I get 50,000 points, I could buy that giant katana for my front yard. You know, like, yeah, and then he did it, and then there it is, right? So that was certainly a very big katana. It would have been big enough that no giant or even an ancient giant could have picked up that katana, right? Because if you look at the scale from that katana with the ship sailing in, remember the Sunny is like almost 60 meters tall. The Sunny is 56 meters tall. Ors, the ancient giant, was 67 meters tall. Okay? That sword is several orders of magnitude bigger than ancient giants. All right? There's just no way. Now, if we're going by the logic that Onigashima's skull is an actual skull of an actual giant that lived like thousands, maybe tens of thousands of years ago, yeah, then sure, that thing could probably pick up something that big, right? But there's certainly no way that, like, the only creatures in the One Piece world right now that could pick up that katana And also, even this sword, which I think this sword is way bigger. Now, remember, the one that was in Kaito's front yard, the katana wasn't, like, we see the full length of this sword in Yggdrasil. Like, it's from the top all the way to the bottom. I don't even want to guess how many, like, several kilometers this sword is, okay? Somebody that knows more about scaling and math and stuff might be able to figure out exactly how big this freaking sword is, right? And, like, make the calculations and stuff like that, right? So, but the katana was, we only saw, like, part of the katana, right? But the only creatures that are big enough to actually wield this thing would be the Thriller Bark creatures, the creatures we saw in the Florian Triangle, those shadowy beings in the distance that, you know, were just towering over Thriller Bark and the Sunny, and they were way off into the distance as well, way off into the mist, so you couldn't even really make them out too well. Those things might be able to pick up that sword and use it as an actual sword, okay? But beyond that, we don't really have any other creatures. I will bring this up because I do get this occasionally. People will bring up during Skypea when the Straw Hats saw, well, during Jaya, when they saw the images in the sky, those were just shadows. But every now and then I'll see especially videos that do scales of like the largest beings in One Piece, and they'll include the shadows in there as if like those are actual creatures, and they're not. It's just light, you know, refracted off of the sky hitting the cloud and making it seem like a giant person. And we saw that with Luffy at the end of Skypea. Those are just shadows. There aren't real people. Well, there are real people projecting the shadows, but that's it, right? So yeah, the creatures at the Florian Triangle, though, those do exist, and those are really, really massive. So either that, and then maybe like a really long time ago, tens of thousands of years ago, there could have been ancient giants that were so big they can lift up a sword like that. Like, I want to know the story about that sword. The katana in Kaito's front yard was kind of like an interesting set decoration. This seems like it's going to be more than that. This seems more than just an interesting piece of decoration to make ELBAPH look cool. No, this is an actual sword. There was a huge being that wielded this and impaled it into the tree at some point a long time ago. This is not just like one of the giants was like, I want a giant sword to be built and stabbed into the island. It'll look cool. Like, no. This is something more than that. Okay. So then we go up even further than that, and then there's a top canopy of the tree. We don't really see anything about this. We don't see like any towns or castles or anything sticking out of the top of the tree. You can assume this is also an area that you could go in and explore as well. You might also be able to go into the actual tree itself, like the whale tree at Zou. There might be various caves and stuff. You can kind of walk in and explore the inside of the tree. You might be able to go down below the tree into the root system and explore down there. So there's just so much to talk about and so much to explore, especially when you reference Norse mythology. So let's pull up this image of the 9 realms of Norse mythology. This is really cool. I love this chart, okay? So, there's a few different interpretations of Yggdrasil in Norse mythology. They are not all exactly the same. This was Oda's interpretation, right? So keep in mind, it's a magical, mystical god tree that's in the realm of, like, astral space or whatever, and it spreads out, and you have different realms and dimensions, okay? The one in One Piece right here, this one is grounded more to be like, okay, it is a magical, mystical tree, but it still exists in the physical realm, and it's still, you know, privy to things like gravity and stuff like that. So, you know, it's not like a branch goes out and creates an entire universe or something, right? It's a little bit more realistic here. I know, but anyway. So we got the 9 realms. We have Asgard, where the Aesir live. We have Vanaheim, where the Vanar live. The Aesir and the Vanar are like the gods in Norse mythology. They wage war with one another. The Aesir win, and they kind of are on top here, as you can clearly see. Muspelheim is the land of fire. We have Midgard, which is the land of the humans. We have Niflheim, which is the land of ice and snow, which might be the place that's at the very bottom, although it's not always like that, because we know that, like, when Shanks was visiting the pub and during Big Mom's flashback, the village was relatively temperate, like a nice summer kind of weather. But maybe, you know, there are different realms, not on like the individual branches of the tree, but there are 9 realms broken up in ELBAPH, and the one that the Straw Hats are in right now might be Niflheim, because that's like cold and ice and stuff like that. That's where the castle was, perhaps. Helheim, which is hell, the place where the dead go, or the unhonored dead. We have Nidalvalar, which is the home of the dwarves, Jotunheim, the home of the giants, and then Alfheim, the home of the light elves. Okay, so these are the different realms here. On the bottom, you can see the dragon, the great worm, Nidhogg, that, gnaws on the roots. So there might be a giant dragon if they go down into the root system. And then there's also the hawk. The hawk is, I always forget the name of the hawk, but here's the thing. Well, he doesn't really have a name. There's some works of literature that call him Verofónr, probably butchering that, but it's not like well known because there's like it's sometimes confusing of whether or not that's the name of the hawk or there's two hawks or whatever. There's a hawk on top of the tree. I'll just call him Verofónr because that's one word that people have for him, right? But Nidhogg is the dragon that gnaws on the roots. That is something that shows up a lot. Okay, so that's the basic layout that you have of Norse mythology Yggdrasil. Okay, so if we're going along with that logic here, we could definitely have this area up here, like wherever the rulers of ELBAPH live. You could say that's Asgard, okay? You could easily say that's Asgard. Any realm that exists below the tree, like if you're going into the root system, that could be Helheim. That makes sense for that. The land that the Straw Hats are in right now, it's very cold and blowy. That could be Niflheim. Now all the giants, like it's giants there, not gods. Although you could say there's different families. Like you could say Loki is a giant, but he's part of the Aesir family or something like that, right? You could still have that. It's just that all of them are giants, okay? Whereas in Norse mythology, they're kind of distinguished between gods and giants. You get my drift there. There could be a place that's really hot and steamy, and that could be Muspelheim. There could be a place where, see, that's the thing. Like, so the dwarves already exist in One Piece. They're the Tontata, so there are going to be some, modifications with that. I don't think it's going to be an exact one-to-one, but there are going to be different realms, and at the very least, you're going to have, I think, at least 3. There's going to be a name for the realm at the bottom, and then a name for this realm where the castle is in the rainbow, and then a name for up here. So hold on a minute. Let's just count, like, how many, like, okay, so below is 1, the root system, and then this would be 2, and then 3 into the canopy, 4 up here, 5 up here, and then maybe in the tree could be some stuff there. So maybe like 6, 7 realms. I don't know. I have no idea how Oda is going to piece this out. But also just keep in mind that there's giant clouds too. Like there's, like, I don't know how tall this is. Like Nami said it best in the last chapter. The scale of this is dizzying. Okay? Like this tree could zoomed out enough that like the very tip top of it could be straddling the white sea, or it could be easily in the realm of like where Sky Islands might be floating by every once in a while, right? There might even be a Sky Island like part of it, like Island Cloud merged with the top of it, okay? This is where Punk Records might set down. Who knows? Like they get to the very top of the tree and then Weatheria and Punk Records land, and then Nami is like, whoa, Haradis, how you doing? We're really high up right now, right? It could be something like that. Who knows, right? Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, eventually they're gonna make their way to the castle. I'm just hoping that, like, because sometimes we'll have to hurry things up in the One Piece world, kind of like we get to Egghead and we're like, okay, let's immediately go to the Labo phase. The Labo phase is where stuff's happening. It's like, we had a couple of chapters where we were down in the fabrication phase to kind of see what's up with that, but it was like, no, everybody needs to get up to the Labo phase because that's where shit's really going on, right? Okay? And it's like, oh, I wanted to explore the fabrication phase more, It's like, okay, and then with Wano, because I'm a geography nut, so in Wano, I'm like, oh man, I wanted to explore Ringo more. I wanted to see, we didn't even see Kibi, come on. It's like you go to an amusement park and it's like, oh, come on, guys, we didn't even get to see this place. It's like, no, we gotta leave. We didn't have enough time today. It's like, aw. So that's how it kind of feels. So I'm really hoping it's not just like Luffy frees Loki, and then Loki grabs Luffy, is like, ha ha ha, good job, little man. Now we raid the castle, follow me. And then Loki like jumps up to the castle, and then the rest of the Straw Hats maybe have one chapter where they're going through the upper canopy, and then they're just like, oh, this is crazy. Yeah, there's rivers inside of the tree. Oh, wow, nuts. Oh, hey, there's a village. Okay. Anyway, get into the castle now. It's like, that's great. I want to see the castle. I want to see the giant fortress. But I also want to explore this place too, Okay. Now, how does this tie into the Atom Tree? All right, so I'm under the impression that this is the treasure tree Atom, that this is it is connected to the mother tree Eve. They are both like, a married couple of trees. I guess, a genesis of trees, I guess you could say, right? And every once in a while, there you can imagine, considering Road was up to some duplicitous actions here, giants don't always follow the rules, I guess. So what if every now and then there are some giants that want to make some extra money, so they break off parts of Yggdrasil, which is probably highly illegal in ELBAPH, but they break off parts of Yggdrasil and then they sell it on the black market. And that's what eventually ended up as the Atom Wood that Frankie purchased that he used to build the Sunny. I think that makes sense because, you know, there are going to be some giants that are like, I want some money. Let's illegally harvest Yggdrasil. And if they get caught, that could mean death. It could mean banishment, right? But they're going to risk it anyway for the money because this is the best, you know, shipbuilding material in the entire world. The amount that Frankie bought would not have been that much compared to the scale and the size of the tree, but it was still about like 200 million berries to purchase some Atom Wood. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, okay? You know, I know we're getting into bounties right now of a scale of like well over $1 billion and everything like that, but still, $200 million or 200 million berries or yen for some lumber, that's pretty... That's a lot. That's a lot of dough. In fact, I think, well, no, Frankie had the 200 million. He bought the Atom Wood, and the Straw Hats kept 100 million. So yeah, it would have been 200 million for the Atom Wood that he used to build the Sunny, right? So yeah, crazy. Oh God. Okay. Is there anything else that's like of immediate importance that I wanted to bring up about this? Okay, I talked about the sword. I talked about the. I also do find it interesting that even when you scale it out, there's only the one castle here that has this rope. Like, you'd think there'd be more down here. So what I really think this is, it used to be an old prison, and I think this is the base of the giant warrior pirates, or the new giant warrior pirates, okay? Because especially since we found out Hyrudin is like a child of the king, like he is a prince of ELBAPH, basically, it would make sense that he had like, hey, I'm going to have this castle be my own castle, and then I'm going to have a special rope ladder that's going to lead up to the capital or something. So it might have been something that the new giant pirates were able to utilize just specifically because of Hyrudin's position and station in ELBAPH. Okay, so maybe think of it like that, right? The other Straw Hats on the Great Eric, they're going to be landing somewhere down here, you know, on the shores. You know, they might even land at the port where Shanks was at. So they might even land at the same pub where, you know, that giant kid was there. He's like, Shanks, take me with you. And Shanks is like, no way. You know, it's just like, yeah, where he defeated Kid. So there's that there. Oh, yeah. We might also get an update on Eustace. We might find out what's happening with Eustace somewhere there. And that would be really funny if they're like sailing onto the shore and like, oh, hey, what's that over there? And then they see Eustace like, and Killer like, and just like, they're like, all right, cool. I guess we found them. All right, bring them on shore, I guess. Now what's going to happen, right? So the Straw Hats on the Great Eric are going to rendezvous there, pick up Kid and Killer, and then they'll head into the higher echelons of the tree. I feel like there would have to be a way to get inside the tree, right? Because otherwise, when you land here in the mountainous region, the only way to get up would be you have to scale a mountain and then get on one rope bridge to get up to higher points. I think there's more ways to get up there than just a singular rope bridge on top of a mountain. Maybe there is. I mean, hey, it is the warland after all. You want to make sure that, like, your enemy doesn't make it any easier to invade, you know? Like, that's the whole reason why geography is everything began. I was talking about Marijois and the Red Line. The world government put their base of operations on top of this sheer rock wall that's really hard to climb up unless you're a badass like Fisher Tiger. It's not easy to mobilize an entire army up the freaking wall unless you're the Germa 66, I guess, right? But it's geography. It's like that's a perfect defense. Kind of the same thing with this. Like if this is the warland and you got a fortress up here and cannons lining the entire upper canopy of this or the middle canopy of Yggdrasil, don't make it any easier. Don't make it easy for the enemy to invade and just climb up the freaking, you know, make a giant staircase around the trunk or something. That wouldn't make sense. So there's probably this way to get in through the rope and the rope bridge, and then there might be another main entrance. You go into the tree itself, and then maybe there's a staircase inside of the tree. Maybe that's where the library was, because I remember when we were seeing the library with Saul and Vegapunk, it looked like it was inside of a tree. I don't know. It just kind of looked like this dark place, so maybe that was inside of the tree itself. I think we are going to go inside of Yggdrasil. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to give a brief overview today of Yggdrasil from what we saw in the last chapter, talk about notable characteristics, talk about some Norse mythology. Oh, there's also the 4 stags. There are 4 deer, 4 bucks that are on the branches of Yggdrasil that embody each of the 4 cardinal directions, so north, south, east, and west. They're Dane, Davlin, Dwerer, and Durapror. Probably, once again, I'm not great at Old Norse, right? So there's 4 stags that hang out on each of, like, the 4 cardinal directions. Are they going to be relevant? Who knows? I think Nidhogg at least is going to be relevant. You know, I don't know. Maybe they'll go down into the roots, and I kind of want... For some reason, I want Nidhogg, the dragon, to be, like, really, really sad. I'm picturing this very sad-looking dragon, like, crying and weeping and just, like, gnawing on the tree. Like, he's not happy with his job. Like, I don't like this. I don't like to eat this tree, but I have to. Please help me. You know, I don't know why that's the image of Nidhogg I have in my head, but that's what I want. Yeah, and it could be, he could be the last dragon, the last actual dragon in the story, right? You know, because Kaido is a mythical zone, Momonosuke is the artificial zone of the mythical zone, right? Dragons were mentioned to exist at one point. Nidhogg is mentioned to be a great worm or a dragon, Virm. So maybe he's the last dragon, and he's really sad because all of his friends are dead. Maybe this is where the giant dragon Yoshi egg that was on Roger's ship ended up. Maybe Scopper Gaban is down there with the giant egg and Nidhogg just hanging out. Maybe the egg hatched and it was Nidhogg. Just throwing theories at a dartboard here. Okay. Well, anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking signing out. Remember, Vampire Berry plushie available now for limited time only. Check it out down below. All right, bye.